What is up, y'all? This is JT. Oh, man. Alright, so I've been dealing with termite and also water rot. I'm not going to say dry rot because that's a fucking lie. But anyways, I've been dealing with this stuff. I've got my king stud and one of my jack studs out. As you can see, let's get closer so we can actually see. Jack stud, king stud out. And to be honest with you, there was nothing holding this up. I do not understand how this house is actually being held up. Because what I've been coming across is situations like this. This is what was holding. This is what was holding it up. As you can see, it's cracked right there. And there's nothing under it. You see that broke away? There's nothing under it. So these are the type of situations you're going to run into when demoing and remodeling. So now what I have to do is scab in. What I will probably do is take this saw right here. This is a handy motherfucker right here. I tell you what, Job Max. Handy motherfucker. And I will take all of this out all the way across. And it seems that there's a 2x4 running that direction at an angle. I'm not really sure what it's for, but you can see the termite damage all the way up. You know, it doesn't go all the way up, but it goes up so far. I've got this one cut off right there, and I'm having trouble just getting to it, like with a pry bar. I might actually have to go out into the garage and pry from inside the garage to get that out, because the outside, well, yeah, this is ghetto. The siding, the actual masonite siding, is holding half of this house together. And as you can see, there's a hole right there because I had actually cut away a lot of termite damage. There was a joist running that direction. Actually, it was a double joist. It wasn't just a single joist. So that's a double joist that needs to go back. And I'm going to make sure and take care of that. I got treated wood. I'm not going to mess around. And man, just look at this damage. It's terrible. Any of these studs, any of this actual structure that needs to be taken care of is going to get taken care of, and I don't care how long it takes, because I don't fuck around. Like, when it comes to doing things right, I never fuck around. I'm just not that guy. But yeah, getting the king stud out, oh man, that was terrible. But for some reason, there was no weight on the king stud, on the jack stud, and then on this second jack stud, there was absolutely no weight. I'm not sure what's holding this up. I guess the roof is holding this house up. Now that, in my philosophy, I'm going to go into a little bit of philosophy because that's like actually what I'm good at. If you don't have the proper foundation which the foundation, the concrete foundation is actually, it's good. It's decent. But right on top of that, you got rotten, you got termites. Look at the termite damage. Just look at that. They took whole chunks out of the wood. I didn't even remove that, I don't think. But anyways, you got termite damage. So if you don't have the proper foundation, and this can be transferred over to psychology. If you don't have the proper foundations of thought and action and reaction, this is what you're going to deal with your whole entire life. You may run through your entire life and not understand why things are not going right. Well, go right down to the basics. What are you built on? What are you built on? Fix that. If your foundation is broken, which this one doesn't seem to be broken, got a lot of debris, then you gotta kind of start over from scratch. And it's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard thing to teach. But if you take anything from me, you're gonna take that. So this is the header going over the door. There's not really anything holding this up. This door it had 2 screws here next to this 2x4. So they were screwed into here. I actually had to re-glue, and I put a nail in there because I can't get outside right now without everything falling apart. So otherwise I would have used a pin nailer, and I just used some Titebond 3. And man, just look at this. I think I'm gonna pull this one out. I'm gonna cut me a strip. Hopefully it's less than 4 foot. And replace that, and replace what's underneath that's rotten, which is basically everything. So this is how you repair your psyche. This is how you repair a house. There's a song out there right now. I don't know what it's called, but it's it says if the bones are good. Well, that's what it's about. So, psychologically speaking, we go over here. If the bones are good, there's a hole right here. Shouldn't be a hole right here. This should be a sole plate carried all the way across. And our studs are eaten up by termites. This is actually not the siding. This is 1x12, completely rotten. And I've removed quite a bit of it, so I had to put some, luckily I had some sheets of wood laying next to this house. This house is a nightmare, by the way. And all of the insulation is basically just mildewy and moldy. It's terrible. So what I'm going to end up doing is going from the foundation about a couple inches down from the concrete. I'm going to go 4 feet up, because that's what I'm working with, is 8x4 sheets. And I might actually have to change that and cut them a different direction, but there's 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 studs missing right here. There's one that runs to this wall, which, by the way, this wall, there's nothing underneath it. There's no joist underneath it. So this wall is basically freestanding. The design of this is just coming from a mechanics background, and by the way, like, these are roach eggs. And they're just everywhere inside all this insulation. So all this has to come out. This window, all the trim, the drywall around the trim, everything's got to be cleaned out. If you're going to take on a project like this, you best beware. We got old wiring, super old wiring. And it's not at a uniform depth here, but as far as down the line, it seems to be pretty uniform straight across. You can see it. Make sure that you do not screw into your wiring or use striker plates, which is a piece of metal that goes like this over your wiring, and you're not going to notch your 2x4s like this. This is incorrect. This is how I was getting the wire out of the way so that I could actually replace this stud, which I can't do because there's nothing to put the stud on. There's nothing, and probably right about where my finger is, that stud. I've replaced all the sill plate. Some of the joists have been sistered, some all the way back 8 foot, some of them 3 foot, some of them 6 foot, whatever. Up to code is 36 inches in where I am from, so 36 inches, say the end of it's rotten, well then I just do 3 feet, or roughly 40 inches, whatever. You know, I just do whatever I need to do. But, oh man, you go into here, and you can just see the extent of this damage. Like the sole plate, or the kick plate, as some people call it. I'm learning the terms, so if I say something wrong, if you correct me, it's fine. But right here is the end of where I have actually put a new rim joist. This is a sister joist. This is the new rim joist. So I gotta continue on from here over, except for right next to these, which is, I don't want to drop a bunch of shit down in the register. This is the heating and cooling register, which is also not correct and needs to be fixed. So I'm not going to be able to do anything quite yet till I get all that fixed, so that it's not blowing cold and hot air down into the crawl space. But right here, just for example, this is going to get a 3/4 OSB. Well, I mean, it's 30 seconds or something like that. It's roughly 3/4 because the 1x12 is 3/4, and so that's going to get on top of that. Then a new sole plate's going to go across there, and this board is actually holding this wall up. This little piece right here. It's the only thing, because neither of these studs are actually touching. These are touching and they have rot underneath, but I haven't even gotten that far, so it's kind of a fuck situation. These weren't actually touching anything, so I just cut them off. This one's gonna come off. I'm gonna put a new one there, and this one, I might, well, depending, I might leave what's good and sister in a new one, which will have to have a notch or whatever. But you want to sister in a decent amount, 2 foot, 3 foot, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with, because this is actually going to be holding up your house. And as you can see, somehow the termites got up all the way into here. So this stud's coming down, which means that that stud and probably the one next to it, and there should be a third one back there, but there's not. It's so strange. Oh, look, a spider. This is just too much. If you're taking on this much and you're doing it by yourself, I mean, look at all the tools I'm using. You know, I got all my rigid shit, but my new rigid light, which is incredible, because I actually plugged in, because it was just eating through the batteries. I don't know why, but lights just eat through the batteries. This is what I'm dealing with. Like, I take some shit out, expecting to put some new stuff in. I was just gonna cut those two studs right there. Those are treated studs. And I was just gonna put those in because they're actually termite, mold, mildew, other things resistant. And I was gonna put those in as the king studs, jack studs, whatever. And then eventually, when I get to the outside, replace this. But I think I'm gonna actually pull that out of there and try to cut a strip, because I could. Oh, well, that was fucking gnarly. I just pulled that right out of there. And as you can see, there's concrete right here. But that's not actually concrete, that's bricks. And see, what happened is moisture got behind all this shit, and the termites, they got in the shit. And in the daytime, you can actually see light coming in through like some of these cracks. It's not properly caulked. It's not properly sealed, and this is the plastic in which they used. And by they, I guess it was a single guy. Apparently they built this house. But here's your bricks. All these bricks are gonna be gone. Like, they're not even gonna be there. So there's no siding below that. That's your siding. This is masonite siding. I had to cut this nail off to get that shit out. Just the way this is built is just terrible. It's just horrifying. Like, if you're messing with an older house and you're not paying little enough money for this shit, walk away. 'Cause that's my advice to you. Walk away. 'Cause you don't get a proper inspection. You don't check for termites. They're never gonna find these termites. They're in the walls. They're behind sheetrock. There was sheetrock there, or drywall, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care at this point. They're never gonna find this shit. They're never gonna tell you this shit. And then when your house just one day collapses in on you while you're sitting at dinner table with your family because of a minor earthquake or a fucking strong wind, you know, it's ridiculous. And the bugs in here are just, you got ants, roaches, just everything. Like, I'm about to tear my hair out. I ain't gonna lie. Like, this is just incredible. Literally, I can't even open this door because I had to take all the screws out of the hinges, which there's only 2 hinges on a door that's rated for 3 hinges, and here's where the 3rd hinge actually goes, and it's gone. But this is a very heavy solid wood door with this stupid Just shit veneer. It's glued on. I don't know. It's all bullshit. So you get a place like this, you're looking at like 20, 30 grand. It's just ridiculous. But that's what I'm dealing with right now. As for my rigid tools, they are standing up to the test. The batteries, I only have 3 amp hour batteries. They suck. And in tools like the Impact, they're fine. Tools like this one, they're okay. Tools like this one, terrible. And tools like this, they're alright because you're not going to be using your circ saw very often. But they will eat through them. Jigsaw, same thing as like the little Job Max. And this is actually one of my favorite tools. This one right here, dude. The recip saw versus this one. That one with a good blade. This one with a good blade. This one right here will win a race. It's fucking crazy. But I don't know. Now I gotta go in my crawl space hole. Go up underneath there. Check and see what is under there. Reinforce it, block it if I have to. Then I have to put some 3/4 down after I cut away whatever's left, of course, which I don't have any of that cut up yet, which is good because I don't know what the dimensions I need are. And then restructure pretty much under the whole entire door. And this joist right here on this line is gone. So it actually needs to be replaced. So when people walk in the door, they're like, oh, whoa, your floor sunk in. They notice it. It's crazy. But these are things that your inspector's not going to fucking notice. They're not going to notice any of this shit, really. And, I don't know. I just hope this is the extent of it. If it's not, then holy shit, I'm out. Like, goodbye. I'm done. But thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.